So I read this book in the mountains on vacation in West Virginia, and as soon as I read it, I could not wait to get back to where I had a cell phone signal and a data connection, and I could start making some of the changes in this book. I read this book 3 or 4 years ago now. It absolutely revolutionized my business. There's a few things in my business life that have been key tipping points for me and have drastically changed the course of how our business has grown and how I've grown as a business owner. And this was one of the first big ones. I can kind of see a series of big events, 3 or 4 now, almost one a year it seems like. But without this one to get things started, none of those other ones really could have happened. So this is a book I read a few years ago. It's called Profit First. It's by Mike Michalowicz. And as you can tell, I'm referencing the reflection of the camera, and I've got some notes in front of me. So I want to tell you what this book did for me and did for my business. And it breaks down into 3 things. First of all, it forced me to confront reality of where my business was at and what I was doing with money. Second of all, and the reason I really, really loved this book is it was very simple. It was easy to understand. The system was easy. It was easy to implement. And I mean that. I mean, I get nothing out of selling you this book or telling you why it's good. But I give this book away on a regular basis because of the impact it had on me and my business. It was just huge. And what I really loved about this book and why I was so excited to get back to civilization and make some changes is because it was so easy to get done. It just made sense to me. By the way, if you want a copy of this book to read for yourself at any point in this video, in this article, just hit the form and let me know. I will be happy to ship you a copy for free. If you're a small business owner or a solopreneur, this book has principles in it that can literally change your life and change your business. And I mean that. Getting your finances in order and getting your money on your side is such a huge step, and it was a big foundational step for me. So I want to make sure that that's clear. So the reason I love the book is it helped me experience profit and put profit first, just like in the name. And you have to have that peace of mind. You have to have that confidence to take the next step in your business, and you need the money to back those steps up. And so Profit First helped me get control of that. So I want to give you a summary of what the book talks about so you can understand how it works. The first principle they talk about is that your business is an out-of-control, cash-eating monster. And Mike's got some great stories to back that up. But if you're interested, if you've gotten this far, it's because you know that your business is eating your money. It seems like no matter what you do, there's not enough money in the bank account for you to take home the salary that you want. And we get into business with sort of the opposite as our goal, but oftentimes, and you may get into business for other reasons, but that's one of them, right? I mean, independence and better finances. And in getting started, you're willing to make some sacrifices, and that's all well and good, but there comes a point at 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 years where, or maybe later, where you say, I'm in the same place as when I started. This business is, money comes in and goes out, and there's never anything left for me. There's never enough. So that's the reality of where we're at when we start the book. And the solution that Mike comes across, and I see this in other books that have been life changers for me, is that we have to change our habits. And Mike talks about confronting reality, about the change has to come from you and the habits you make. And so there's 4 aspects that go into that, and I encourage you to request a free copy and read this chapter. I believe it's chapter 2. Really read chapter 1 and 2 because 1 sets the stage. But chapter 2 talks about, first of all, the small plates principle. And I love this. Profit first, in its simplicity and at its core, is the envelope system, but for your business. So I had already read Dave Ramsey's book. I'm trying to see it on my shelf here. It looks like I don't have a copy. But he wrote a couple books. The Total Money Makeover is the one I'm thinking of. And it's about personal finance, getting out of debt, and it talks about the envelope system and breaking down into the small plates. That's what Mike Michalowicz calls it in Profit First. So it's applying that principle to your business. And as a small business owner, as a micro business, at the time I think I had 1 or 2 employees, that really resonated with me. Then it talks about serving sequentially, and this is the importance of you need to pay Uncle Sam, because if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to end up in deep trouble in the long run, and putting profit first. And the importance of divvying out your money in accordance with what is really most important. And he goes into why that's most important in case you need a reminder. And he has some really good examples about that. Number 3 is about removing temptation. And so Mike has some real practical hands-on things about setting up your bank accounts that you can do very quickly. And because I read the book in the mountains of West Virginia on this weekend vacation visiting some friends and needed to get back to town to take those steps, I knew if I could just get into the bank, if I could just get online, in an hour I'd be good to go. So I loved how simple it was because it made sense to remove that temptation. And then number 4 is key, and that's enforce a rhythm. So Mike's book is really good about getting the ball rolling very quickly and then getting you in a rhythm. In this case, it's a bi-weekly and a quarterly rhythm that work together. So I loved how simple it was. At the core of it all is that general accounting practice is sales minus expenses tells me what's left for profit. And Mike emphasizes that that's the habit that we've been trained by accounting principles. And in our reality as micro business owners, that is wrong. We need to change our thinking to sales minus profit equals expenses. We need to put profit first and then adjust our business to ensure that we're going to have profit now, because that will allow us to have even more profit in the future. One of the things I love about the book is that every chapter ends with easy first steps. And sometimes there's 1 and sometimes there are 3. But Mike is very clear. Go out, stop reading, do this. Now if you're trapped in the mountains, you can't do it right away, and so you keep reading and you get even more excited. But he makes it very clear. You need to go do this now. You need to go do this now. And every chapter ends with some easy first steps. The first one, I believe is in chapter 2, is open a new bank account for your profit and put 1% in. So we're going to start setting aside profit today. We're going to make that a priority. Chapter 3 talks about the next mechanical steps. And again, I found those took me about an hour or maybe 2 to do. It was very easy to get the ball rolling one step at a time. Chapter 4, I believe it is, talks about doing your instant assessment. And this is really cool. He gives you in about 15 minutes, maybe less. If you want to know where you should be and start to get a picture of your target, do this instant assessment, and the results are a little shocking. You'll find that you're way off where you really want to be or where you should be for your industry. He talks about allocating percentages, and this is really cool. So we get it. He gets into sort of assigning your money and doing this envelope style or this small plate style marketing budgeting, and he talks about targeted allocations, percentages, and your current. And so you do this instant assessment and you say, okay, this is where I want to be when my business is healthy. When not even when it's healthy, when I hit my goal. It might be a 1-year goal or a 5-year goal. For me, it was a 1-year goal. I felt like I could get there in a year. These are my percentages for profit. This is what my profit percentage is going to be. That'll mean I need to set aside this amount for taxes, this amount for operating, and he gets into some of those details. So you set your targets, and then you evaluate where you are currently, and that says, okay, this is where I'm starting, and this is where I want to go, and you track that. And so you get then into putting that into motion. So Mike breaks it down into an easy 2-week cycle. His recommendation is the 10th and the 25th, and that works really well. You take your money and you distribute it to your accounts according to your current allocation percentages. And then every quarter, you take your profit. Being able to know that there was going to be something, some bonus for all the risk and all the work as a business owner, being able to know that that was coming every quarter was beautiful. I love this part about Mike's recommendation for the profit first system, and that is taking your profit every quarter, having that goal that you're shooting for, having that prize that you're going to get, the anticipation of it. For me, it was kind of watching that number grow slowly throughout the quarter and then getting to take that out and experience profit and experience a bonus, a reward for all the work and all the risk. And for me, it was a reward for all the changes I made to make that profit possible. To go from 1 year profitable and the next year a loss to every year, every quarter I'm going to have a profit, and there's going to be a little bonus for me for that. And that was Just so motivating and encouraging. So I won't read you the whole book, but he goes into a few other things that I think are really important. He doesn't just leave you hanging out there. He talks about how to get to profit and some of the steps that you can take. So he talks about dealing with debt. And a lot of his principles are the same as in the Total Money Makeover. He kind of goes into the, written by Dave Ramsey, which is a personal finance book, but he goes into the debt snowball and chewing away at your debt. He also talks about cutting waste and evaluating waste in your business, and he goes into that with respect to ingenuity and finding ways to manage your expenses, to cut them, and how making that a priority turns into profit. The fastest way to get a profit is actually to cut expenses. It's much faster than trying to make another sale. And Mike gives some really good examples for that. He talks about dealing with bad clients. One of the ways that you cut expenses in the long run is you get rid of clients that are not a good fit because they're eating up time and energy, and then sometimes they're actually eating up money. A client that breaks even, unless they've got some sort of intangible bonus, like you might have a client that breaks even but they bring you 4 other profitable clients a year. But most of the time, a client that's not making you money is a bad client. And Mike has a whole nother book where he deals with that in more detail. And then selling smart. This is a lesson that I carry with me to this day. Should we add this service? Should we follow that idea? I get suggestions all the time from clients and fellow business owners saying, oh, you should do this and you should do that. And they're often good ideas, but are we stretching ourselves too thin and sacrificing profit by wasting time and energy and resources, not selling smart, selling things that we're really not good at? And then at the end of the book, he goes into some more advanced techniques. So I think that hopefully that gives you an overview of how profit first can help you grow your business. More importantly, experiencing profit. It's so motivating. Having that security, having that system in place, I still follow to this day, even though that was several years ago, and I'm able to work knowing that there's going to be a profit every quarter. You know, I get to decide how much that's going to be with my allocation percentages, but I needed that change in the way I handled my money and in the way I looked at expenses to build a foundation that I could then grow from. And I'm fortunate to look back and say, not only did profit first change my trajectory for my business, but I still do it to this day. I still follow the principles, and I still follow the system because it made that big of a difference in our small business. So if you're a micro business owner and you are not experiencing profit every quarter, every year, you need to read Profit First by Michalowicz. It is definitely worth your time. It is so easy to follow. It's so practical, and it just makes sense. And if you want a free copy, stop by our office and grab one, or hit the form and shoot me your mailing address, and I'll send one to you. It's on me. If this book will make a difference in your business, I am happy to send it to you because I want you to be able to experience what I've experienced here at Websites for Anything. So request a free copy, read the book, and start making some money.